Someone once said that nothing is to be gained by arguing with fools or reasoning with ignorant people. Today in rLounge, we learn that sometimes you gotta play hard and dirty, and that means cutting ties and throwing someone's clean laundry on the floor. Up first, a family that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I cut ties with my sister, her family, and my husband's family because they think they're entitled to my husband's paycheck. Okay, this needs a whole story of context. My 48 female sister, 56 female, and I had always had a rocky relationship. Her husband, 61 male, and my husband, 50 male, are brothers, so we've always had that distinct closeness. Due to poverty, I only graduated from a 2-year course. My husband is the successful one in the whole family. Basically, he graduated from college with a Bachelor's of Science in Marine Engineering degree and is now a chief engineer. He works overseas while I manage a small store at home. Meanwhile, my sister and her husband didn't graduate. Their source of income had always been from selling fruit shakes in front of schools. It wasn't a steady income, but their daily needs are still met. Since I and my husband have the capacity to help, I've asked my husband to help my relatives. He agreed, and now we've financed the education of more than 10 people, relatives, neighbors' children, people we hire as help. Aside from that, we also helped my sister's family with everything we can, even on demand. Back in 1999, I was pregnant with my first child. We used to live in a small town far from the nearest hospital, which was kilometers away in a city. So, my husband and I decided to move into the city to be near the basic commodities like schools, hospitals, and markets. There were markets and schools in the small town, by the way. The city just had better accommodations. My sister was livid when I told her the news of us, just me since my husband's overseas, moving to the city. She reasoned that, what about her family? Their income won't let them survive that long. She already had her 5th child then. I was so stressed, and weeks passed by that I forgot it was the 9th month of my pregnancy. On December 6th, I hurried to the hospital. My friend already agreed that I'd be staying in their house for now. The next day, my first child was born. I asked my cousin and my friend to fetch my belongings from the house, because I'd already decided to move to the city for my baby. When my friend and cousin went to the house and fetched my clothes, my sister went on a tantrum. She threw all my clothes outside and said, "I hope she died at birth." I was devastated, of course, when I heard that. But life went on, and I forgave her for that. Years later, I already had my 2nd child. My sister's 2nd child was about to go to college, so I financed her education. She wasn't able to finish college because of her choices. I brushed that off despite having to buy the things she needed for her school. Years later, her 3rd child was ready to go to college. Now, this is where things started to go down south. My niece, let's call her Rihanna, 32 female, during her 2nd year in college, started to date. She was a lesbian and started dating this girl a few blocks from our house. By the way, we moved to another city still close to our hometown. My niece lived with us during this time. I was pregnant with the 3rd child. Little did I know, my niece would go out at night, leaving the gate open. She would go clubbing with her girlfriend. I only found this out when my cousin told me that the gate was open one night. I scolded her about this. This was also the time when I found out about her relationship. I told her it was fine that she started dating, but I want her to focus on her studies, which means her girlfriend can't be in the house to be a distraction, and she can't go clubbing either. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I called her mother, but instead of apologizing to me, she got angry and told me to get off my niece's love life. She can do what she wants. I was offended, of course. What if she gets into trouble? What if she gets hurt? Who would be accountable for this? Me. We had months of quarrel over this. My niece graduated. Around 2013 to 2014, I found out I got breast cancer. I was devastated, of course. I had surgery and went to chemotherapy. During this time, another one of my brother-in-laws had a medical emergency. While I was in chemo, I also helped him with his disease. I don't know exactly the reason why, but my sister's husband gathered his brothers and sister, not including my husband, and plotted something against me. I heard that my brother-in-law actually said, verbatim, when he found out I got out of surgery, "So, is she dead?" I don't know what they were plotting. They invited me to come, but I didn't go. All I know is that they think I'm hogging my husband's money for myself. Yes, you heard that right. They said, as siblings, they have rights to my husband's paycheck, which, by the way, goes to our joint account. This whole scenario just dug the hole deeper. Okay, let's condense this, and let's enumerate the things that have transpired over the years. I financed my sister's 4th daughter's education, where she got pregnant and married a man we don't know. Her mother defended her. My first son is going to college, and since I don't want him to go alone in a city away from me, I hired my sister to help her nephew for a weekly $55 salary. Rihanna saw this as me making her mother a help or some kind of servant. She went on a rant on social media. This led to another fight between me and my sister, and then again, I forgave them. My terminally ill father-in-law was in my sister's care when Rihanna posted on Facebook asking for help, hinting that my father-in-law's children, despite being engineers and professionals, aren't helping. My husband got offended, and so did I, since we financed my father-in-law's medicines and they were asking for an oxygen tank, which was scarce at the time because of COVID-19. At that point, I have had enough. I've had enough of their demands. I've had enough of their bickering. I just have had enough. So the last time my sister and I spoke, I told her to never contact me again, and if a rift between us is what they want, I will give it to them. I said that our relationship as sisters is severed, and I don't want anything to do with them. My sister got offended by this and lectured me about family values and whatnot. Till now, I've still not talked to her or her family. I did still speak to my brother-in-laws and sister-in-law, but only for a brief moment. Edit. Hi, I'm the actual owner of this account. I don't frequent Reddit that much, but I do know this subreddit exists. Since I realized my aunts and uncles are witches, I asked my mother to share her story. I lent her my account for some time until she doesn't want to. So yeah. So you can invalidate my mother's life all you want. It's as valid as reality. Sorry for the confusion. Also, I thought it'd be weird if I tell the story playing as her. I might also leave out some details that wasn't even shared with me. Of course the community has some reactions. First, Curious Piglet 97 says, "You both sound like amazing people, but you let yourselves be used for far too long. Please don't give a dime or help anyone else out in that family. I beg you, please cut ties 100% or they will suck you dry. They obviously only care about the money and not the kindness of the people helping all those years. Asking many times throughout the years if you had died and hope you died? That's cruel and sad. Please don't give a penny more to any of them for any reason. Let them fend for themselves. Good luck. I'm sorry you have a horrible family." The OP replies, "I basically have forgiven them. I'm just waiting for them to actually see it as well. But I will surely not give them anything ever again." Hell's Bells Anna chimes in with these thoughts. "Did you ever ask your sister why she had 5 children but expected you to help raise them? Irresponsible much? I would have called a halt to the handouts right there." The OP replies, 6 children by the way. She had her 6th child around 2004. But since we actually came from a family of 4 to 5 children per couple, it's not a surprise. But then again, yes, it's really irresponsible for them to have kids this many in their situation. I guess they never thought to do hard work since they thought we'd always be helping them. One more thought from Professor. Sounds like you and your family are from the Philippines, or in a situation where your father, as an overseas worker, remits a high income due to the exchange rate. My mom also went through this, where extended family felt entitled to my dad's money. Wish your mom figured out sooner to stop letting these family members bite the hand that feeds. First of all, OP, I don't know how you ever forgave her for saying that she hopes you die at birth. That's a bit extreme. And then, to assume the worst while you're suffering from cancer and chemotherapy? It's all quite a childish, horrendous thing to say. It's hard to believe that people can say such ugly things to people who are so kind and selfless towards them. To think that they truly believe they're entitled to your family's financial situation. I honestly think the no contact thing should have happened long ago. But bless you and your husband for being so kind up until then. They definitely didn't deserve to have people like you in their lives. What do you make of this? Let us know below. Meanwhile, up next, sometimes you gotta show people you're nothing to mess with. Someone stopped the dryer I was using halfway through my cycle and used the time I had left to dry their clothes. Posted under r/entitled people because I feel like it belongs here. If it belongs under a different sub, please let me know and I'll repost it there. I live in a single complex apartments. As every apartment complex does, mine has an on-site laundry room, and as is also standard for on-site laundry rooms, I have to pay to use the washers and dryers. It costs $1.50 per cycle. I know, $1.50 doesn't sound like anything to cry over. I was doing my laundry tonight, and after I had thrown my clothes in the dryer, I headed back to my apartment to relax while my clothes dried. Let me reiterate that I've never before had this happen in the 7 years I've been living here, so I wasn't too worried about waiting around. I had my timer set to go off after the usual 48 minutes on my dryer was up, and once it went off, I headed to the laundry room to grab my clothes. I get inside and find my clothes sitting on top of the dryer I was using. and they were still wet. Not damp, wet, like I'd just removed them from the washer. I was puzzled, so I opened the dryer door to find someone else's clothes in there. I admit I kind of felt their clothes to see if maybe the dryer was just broken. Nope, their clothes were completely warm and completely dry. None of their clothes were even damp. They were completely 100% dry. So I knew immediately that they had taken my clothes out and used what was left of my $1.50 to dry their clothes. Unfortunately, there are no cameras in the laundry room, so I can't ask my landlord to check and see who did it. I'm pissed. I had to hang all of my wet clothes up at home to finish drying because I had no money left on my laundry card to run another cycle, and no money left to put on it to run another cycle, and these dryers are not coin operated anymore. I could have reported it to my landlord, but without knowing who did it, there was no point. This just happened a few hours ago and I'm still fuming. You have to be pretty entitled to think it's okay to take someone else's clothes out and use what's left of the cycle they paid for to wash or dry your clothes. We've got some community thoughts, first from OK Smoke 4659. I've dealt with this at college a few times. Normally, I just throw their clothes on the floor as a bit of petty revenge because it makes them all dirty, so they have to wash and dry them again. It's a little rude, but at the same time, you reap what you sow and they typically don't do it again after that. The OP replies, I'm usually a non-confrontational person, but I was so tempted to leave a note for them, but I just decided to leave it for now. I kinda regret it. Catam Entanglement joins the conversation like this. Did you have a basin sink in your laundry room? Your situation happened to me when I lived in New York and our building laundry room was more modern and only had laundry cards. Thankfully, the washing machine's locked after starting till the end and so no one could steal your washing cycle. But the dryers didn't lock. I came back to my wet clothes on a folding table and someone else's clothes in my dryer. Very displeased. So I put my clothes in another open dryer and took the dryer's thieves' clothes, put it in our basin sink, got their clothes wet, and put them on the folding table where they put my clothes. Thankfully, next time I came down to get my clothes, nothing was amiss, and the wet clothes were gone. Scary Fairy wanted to say this. I'm honestly really petty, but I would have taken their clothes with me, then thrown them into the dumpster. Bonus points if you happen to be taking out your trash that day and just throw your trash on top of them. Honestly, OP, I'd still report it. I literally will never understand why people do what they do. Like using your change to dry their own clothes, or parking in your stall in underground parking, etc. It's total ignorance. I'm also petty enough that I probably would have taken their clothes and thrown them out. Maybe that's just me, but sometimes that's what you get. What do you think? Am I wrong? And thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way, you won't miss any of our videos. While you're at it, let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. We can't wait to see you next time.